is up, everyone? Welcome to episode number 35 of, what do we call this anymore? The Hot Takes Podcast. I'm your host, Frankie McKnight, and no, I'm just kidding. I'm Luke, and we're going to have a pretty interesting episode tonight with two of our newest guests. We have Dylan Burns over to my left-hand side, and TJ Komack over to my right. So we'll just kind of intro it into the beginning. What's up, guys? How you guys doing during quarantine? Teach?
Holding up, working.
Yeah, grinding away.
Priming away, that's right.
There we go, dude. Dylan?
That's it. I mean, sports are done for me, so I'm out of work. I've been landscaping pretty much, working on my hands and knees, coming home smelling like crap every day.
So nothing's changed?
Nothing has changed, exactly. Either way, I'm coming home stinking it up. But honestly, it's been humbling. I know for a fact that I'm happy I have a degree and happy I have a desk job when I thought I hated it.
Yeah.
It just brought me back to earth a little bit.
Yeah, I
Literally.
think, look, I think we're all lucky enough to even have anything. I think the biggest thing right now is just with everything going on in the world, obviously we hope everyone continues in a positive manner. And it's, like you said, humbling is like the understatement when it comes to like having a job during this time and being able to work. So
I'm making money sitting on my ass, too. I don't know about you guys. I check my bank every now and again, and like they're just slapping me with money left and right. I'm just like, all right.
Checks, right?
I've gotten 2 stimulus checks.
Donald Trump.
well,
hashtag whoever is pressing that send button and
exactly.
Venmoing me straight into my bank account.
Hashtag legally I can't say because of work, and I'm still technically employed. So like, whatever.
Yeah. So honestly, I can't say I'm too pissed off at all this quarantine stuff because I'm making money. I don't know where it's coming from.
Dude, that's like, this is time we'll never get back, which is like, it sucks, because you don't want to sit here and be like, this is great, because it's the furthest thing from great.
Polar opposite.
We're dealing with a pandemic, and like the globe shutting down low-key, but like, I love watching and being in my pajamas all day.
I don't mind at all.
I work out at noon, it's great. Like, I usually work out at 8 o'clock at night, so like, working out at noon is nice.
And truthfully, the only thing, I think, like, the worst part about this quarantine for me, besides not being able to go out, like, normally without a mask on and all that stuff, is I'm finally, for the first time in my life, I'm 24 years old, right? The Mets and the Dolphins are finally turning things around for the first time in my entire existence, and then the planet just gets shut down. Like, I've never looked forward to 2 seasons more in my life, and literally just the world is like, we're gonna take a break for a little bit.
And it's like, it's weirdly enough, like, the worst time to be, in my opinion, a Mets fan, just a baseball fan in general. And this is why.
100%.
In my opinion, this 60-game season, the World Series champion will mean nothing.
You think so?
I think it'll be a great moment to tell our kids we're going to be able to be like, listen, they only played 60 games, like it was a momentous occasion.
Right.
But especially out of all the teams in the MLB, if the Mets do win, people are just going to immediately hop on the bandwagon. Oh, it doesn't count.
Absolutely.
I even think the Yankees, too. The Astros are probably my number one of that, because if the Astros do win, they're going to be like, well, they had more time to prep, and they only did 60 games. But the Mets are right up there, too, where just people want to give them hell for, in my opinion, like, no reason. Like
for sure. The Mets are just one of those teams that get shit on just for being the Mets. Yep. It is what it is. It's like part of their culture is being the little brother to the Yankees, and it is what it is. But it's interesting you say that the World Series champion won't matter, because there's only one time that this has really happened, and it's back when, like, Joe DiMaggio and all the, like, literally, the league's best players were all fighting in World War II.
Yep.
And I forget who it was. But there, I want to say, like, the Cleveland Natives, I think they were.
Okay.
I'm drawing a blank on the name. But they went from the worst record in the league by far to everybody going to fight in World War II, and then that team won the World Series. So, like, it's like people say that it'll be tainted. Yeah. So, like you said, people want to say because it's only 60 games that it'll be tainted. But the flip side of that is everybody's dealing with it. I think the biggest argument for me of why a World Series would be bullcrap is because some players aren't going to be able to play. Like, you look at the Mets having to play the Braves all the time. Yankees, too, now with the division being changed up.
Exactly.
So, like, they don't have Freddie Freeman. He's gone. That's their best player. Yeah. How many other teams? Like, Mike Trout is still up in the air, so it's tough for me to,
a lot of players don't want to play because they're not going to be getting their full salary.
Yeah. Well,
I don't blame them.
The NFL, actually, did you see it today? The news apparently is the NFL said that they're going to allow players, if they don't want to play, to sit out this season if they do end up playing.
Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Is that like a tough attempt at a PR stunt?
I don't know.
Like anything, hey, don't pay attention to Deshaun Jackson. This is what we're saying.
I mean, that's basically what they're doing right now. But I just can't figure out why, because my head is trying to wrap around the fact that they're pushing as hard as they can to have the season.
Of course.
Because they've had the most time to prep. Every other sport was getting ready for spring training or in the middle of a season.
Right.
NBA, NHL,
right.
whatever else. MLB was getting ready. Football has had the most time, and then you're just seeing this disaster where if, let's say that the NFL does it, what the hell is the NCAA going to do? Because
who knows?
These kids are going to, a lot of them are going to be seniors, are going to be juniors, they're going to be eligible. So, do you allow them to get another year? Is that fair? Is it, do you let sophomores come out?
It's going to be interesting, too, because of, like you said, how many kids are potentially losing out on this upcoming season? Are you right? Are they? Is that count as a year of eligibility? Yeah. Do they have to stay back? Do they have to do a year in the G League?
Yeah.
So what's going to happen to these kids? And not for nothing, NCAA baseball didn't happen this year. And I know for a fact, I'm kind of paying attention to the recruiting process and the age group and stuff like that. Yeah. Teams are bringing back 37 to 40 of their players. So if you're a senior this year and you graduated, there's usually about 30 to 35 spots on a roster.
Yeah.
You're looking at 5 to 8 spots on a roster. So a lot of these kids are getting screwed just because nobody knows. This is so unpredictable. And people are trying to say, all right, in 6 weeks we plan on having our season started, and these are going to be the protocols. Well, look at the past 6 weeks before right now. Yeah. How unpredictable everything has been and how much everything has changed. Exactly. So things are happening like this.
Now.
And so for me, honestly, it's tough to believe anything that anybody is saying.
Yeah. We in my opinion, it's something that so I've been taught all my life to speak stuff into existence and always keep a positive mindset.
Sure.
And that's what I try to do right now.
Right.
It's very difficult because we get into this rut of we lose. Then we finally get our couple of little wins, right, with Jersey. And Jersey, in my opinion, I know a lot of people have been hating on it, but I think Jersey's doing a very good job because we got smacked in the beginning, and then we collected ourselves and said, what are we going to do, and how are we going to rebound?
Right.
Now is a very weird spot because, again, I work in New York City. I commute there every day.
Yep. I'm in Philly.
My job has an open date, but it's basically not really an open date because for the past 2 months, it's been that same open date. We've been going in a positive direction.
Right.
But then we are now starting to hit another one of those roadblocks where it's okay, well...
A spike here, a spike there.
Yeah, surprise. We're pushing back on some of the openings. So now I'm all right, we're going to go back into this rut. But, again, dude, the biggest thing with it now... Some sports are coming back, which I think is going to be awesome. And where we'll transition into this is going to be really positive in our sense of where, we talked about before.
For sure.
We're never going to get this time back. So, I was going to transition to you guys and ask, what are you doing right now to, make up that time, not work-wise? What are you watching? What's your main eyeballs, what are they consuming the most right now?
Right. I've just been watching a lot of the games that they're replaying on NBA TV of some of the stuff that happened right before we went to into lockdown, pretty much. Looking at some stats, looking at some trends, trying to pay attention to who's excited about the bubble, who's not excited about the bubble, who's playing in the bubble, who's not playing in the bubble, so that when basketball finally picks back up, you kind of have a feel for what teams are going to go, like Luke, you were just saying, with a positive mindset. Damian Lillard hasn't said one positive thing this entire time in the quarantine. He's talking about how, we're not really in it record-wise, so I kind of don't want to risk going into the bubble, but the Blazers are still going to play. Carmelo Anthony is another guy on the Blazers who was saying they don't want to play. So the Blazers, right, the NBA gave them a schedule that's pretty favorable for maybe them to jump a few teams and get into the playoffs.
Exactly.
But
your two best players don't want to play.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And is it worth it? That's what it comes down to.
Exactly. And I would even say, does an NBA championship get tainted a little bit along the same lines as an MLB?
I think the only one, in my opinion, that doesn't get tainted is hockey.
Okay.
Because so I know this is going to be, there might be hockey people on this, but, I just think hockey is not as popular of a sport So people are going to give it the benefit of the doubt and go, okay, well, they only shortened theirs however much, and they all made the playoffs. They made it a bigger playoff, which is more exciting.
Right.
Because hockey, I think, is one of those sports where it really is any given Sunday. Because, like, I mean,
sure.
you know, like, there's teams, there's not really one Penguins or Blackhawks now. Well, it's kind of...
Don't forget, like, hockey isn't like the main sport.
No, of course,
in the U.S.
Exactly,
right.
and I think that's another big reason.
And there's only like a certain amount of like hockey fan, like hardcore hockey fans.
Right. So I think in general, people will just be happy to watch it. And when the championship goes up, like they hoist the Stanley Cup, I don't think people are going to be like, the Rangers won. Like, you know, the typical teams that win it, there might be those couple of people that are just like, oh no, like that's such a what?
Right.
Because there always will be. That's just life. We live in a culture of everyone has to say something about something.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I just think they have the best situation because like people are going to be excited to watch them and they're not going to ridicule it. And I haven't heard of any hockey players that are like, I don't want to play.
I haven't heard of Peep either. And truthfully, honestly, Luke, I think what you're pretty much circling around is people are just starving for anything. Somebody's going to watch hockey just because it's on.
Yep.
And especially like, you know, with all like the DraftKings and FanDuel and all that stuff now, people are going to look for something to bet on. You know, I wake up every morning and I watch Korean baseball. I'm watching like the Doosan Dragons to like play like the LG Samsungs or whatever. Like I'm not paying. I don't know any of the names, but still like. I'm waking up watching Korean baseball because there's sports on TV and I want to watch.
And you want to watch it, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what, you know, that's all we have.
Right,
and
right.
We're craving it. People that don't even like sports are literally asking for it, which is when you know, like, people are like, I need this back. They're getting that itch.
Right.
But TJ, what are you watching right now? What's your biggest thing?
I mean, I just been watching like ESPN, Sports Center, getting like these updates. I've been checking out, like, you know, ESPN Fantasy Baseball.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know, I do fantasy baseball.
Yeah. Did you draft a team before COVID?
Yeah, I drafted
yeah, me too. Me too, yeah.
I got Mike Trout on the team. I'm crossing my fingers, you know, he's coming back.
You took him 1-1, no?
If he
did you take him first overall? Did you have the one pick?
Yeah, I had number one pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like,
it's the worst year to have the number one pick.
That's got to be worse than an ACL. Your number one pick just being like, not feeling it.
Might not be for me.
If he doesn't come back, I'm fucked.
Yeah. Well, me and Dylan play in a dynasty football league. It's more of a Taco Bell aficionados club.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, I leveraged my entire team to get draft picks for this year, next year, and the following year.
Yep.
And I'm low-key sitting here now like, I did it. I was so souped. I was so excited because I think they were pretty good trades for the most part. I acquired a lot. And then I was sitting there and I was like, shit. I might not even play. So, like, who am I going to take?
Well, we had the draft. That's a.
No, we didn't have the draft.
No, well, not the league draft, but the NFL draft happened.
Thank God.
So at least you know, like, nobody's gonna get hurt. Knock on wood.
I literally just shit my pants because I thought we had the draft and I didn't know, and I just like low key lost all my picks and took like Andrew Thomas as like my number 1-4 spot.
And somebody's like, "Oh yeah, we gave you. We thought that was a good pick."
Yeah, exactly. We did it for you. Frankie, what's good?
I'm like raising my hand. Like
Yes.
You're good.
Frankie is here for the record. If anyone was curious.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You were talking about draft-wise, fantasy-wise, baseball, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, do you think with everything changing up now, with rosters and players not playing the game, do you think they will, like, whatever fantasy draft systems there are, do you think they will allow you to change them up and do a redraft kind of deal to them?
I don't know. I think,
that's
truthfully,
a good question.
It is. Yeah, definitely. It's interesting because obviously you base your whole draft on a 162-game season.
Yeah.
Sure,
And I don't know if they would let you redraft, but I mean, I think there is something that you can go into a lot of these apps or these websites and say, like, you know, you just wipe out the teams and then do a redraft. So you would have to do it manually. I don't think they would do it.
Yeah.
The ESPN Fantasy app, they like update the format.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Nice.
the commissioner, it's like a commissioner thing. So if the commissioner, in all honesty, we like sit there and you, like, let's say we were in a league together and we had the TJ situation where, like, let's say TJ's 1-1 pick, his 3-1 pick, and his 6-1 pick are all people that don't want to play.
Right.
Those are like 3 key positions.
Yeah,
That's a pitcher, an outfielder who is Trout, and then
Infielder.
let's just say Bryce Harper.
How do you do you get a compensatory draft pick at the end there? Like you just got to pick from.
If it's a dynasty draft, you just say screw. Like dynasty, you keep everybody for the most part. Yeah. So in that case, it sucks. But at the end of the day, it's like you're not going to redraft Mike Trout. Like you don't want to chance that.
Besides not playing, I think the biggest impact on a lot of these rosters are just going to be the pitchers. Because you're going to get a significant amount of less starts on the year, definitely. Which obviously brings down the value of these guys. Like you're looking at people who maybe, had a big buffalo chicken wrap. It's you're looking at a lot of these guys who are going to get maybe 10 starts, and especially guys at the back end of a rotation, like a 3-4 or teams that go 5 deep in their pitching rotation. In 60 games, how many times are you going to hit the mound?
Yeah, no.
So is a Justin Verlander, Jacob deGrom, Garrett Cole as valuable as
they were in 162 games.
The games they pitch, they could go longer now since they're not going to be pitching as many games.
True. You're talking about like going deeper into games, like going like 7, 8 innings. That's a great call.
That's a great call. 6 innings, they could go 7 to 8, 7 to 9.
Because they could take 10 days off if they wanted, theoretically, and they'll play, they'll already be halfway through the season,
Right. I find, TJ, that's a great point. I find that to be such bullshit, how, like, pitchers, like, if you go 5 innings, that's considered a good start these days. What do you make of that?
Like,
it's because, obviously, the baseball we grew up watching.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, if you're on, why are you going to take a guy out?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I guess it depends on the team.
Yeah.
Like if they're
all the analytics and crap. There were great teams before analytics. I don't understand.
Like a playoff contending team.
Right.
Like they're not gonna want to risk their pitcher, like best pitcher.
Of course not.
Right.
Well, we live in an analytical era now, which is like, in my opinion, it's great, but it's also bullshit. Like, we grew up playing the sport not to be like, there's an 85% chance that if Dylan screens off this guy and goes to the corner, he's going to hit
right.
That's amazing that you can get those percentages, but at the end of the day, how I like to play my sports is just like, put me up against someone that either I know I'm better than, or you want to match up against because you want that competitive edge, like kind of what we'll get to later. It's like, that's what I love. Like, imagine MJ was being given, like, MJ, you have a 45% chance if you make this. Like, no. Like, a guy like that does not want the percentage. Like, don't tell me the odds, Han Solo, shout out. They don't want that. Like, you don't want to tell them what it is. Like, they don't care, you know?
The two people who come to mind the most when it comes to analytics and a good shot versus a bad shot, Carmelo Anthony, who based his whole career off of mid-range jumpers, who was one of the best offensive talents in NBA history, and Kobe Bryant also. You know how many quote-unquote bad shots Kobe Bryant took and still made in his career, and in huge moments he made in his career? Like, what are you going to do? Like, all of a sudden tell a guy, like, hey, game on the line, don't take that shot. No, you take the best available shot, or you take the shot that you have to. It is what it is. There's such a human aspect to sports that it's becoming so robotic that it's almost, like, annoying to hear people try to talk about, like, what's a good and a bad decision at the end of a game. Like, I'm sitting. They're called couch coaches. Yeah, no, so it is what it is. You're a couch coach,
and that's what. And the really shitty part about it is because you want to give a lot of these analysts, and you want to give a lot of the people that vote for the college football like who plays. You want to give those people the benefit of the doubt and say you've been watching it long enough, you know it. I hate to say it, but, like, how many of you guys actually played? Like, and, like, that's not me saying that every single one didn't. Because, like, then you're also getting into the female thing. That's not me saying that a female does not know it, because Condoleezza Rice knows college football.
Right.
She did a phenomenal job with her votes, like what she was saying. But the problem is,
Condoleezza Rice votes?
She's on the board. I'm almost 100% positive. I'm almost 100%.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
I might be wrong, but I'm almost 100% positive.
At least today.
She votes today.
Definitely heard some crazy shit.
But at the end of the day, it's like one of those things where, like, it's just like, that's not how it goes. Like, I don't know if you guys don't watch UFC very much. I don't know. Like,
big fights.
All right, so I've been watching UFC all my life because my dad stumbled upon it instead of boxing one night. Fell in love with the sport, and, like, I've watched it ever since. There was a recent fight, I can't even think of the fighter's name, but it was all on ESPN because the fighter in the last round was getting ready to go out, and his coach was telling him, get ready to go, and the fighter was like, no. He's like, I don't want to fight. I'm done. I don't want to fight anymore. I'm done. And the coach was like, no, you're a champion. Get up. You're a champion. Do not give up right now. You're a champion.
Right.
And the guy's like, no, I can't. So all of the media attacked this coach and said he's a bad guy for doing this and he put his guy in jeopardy and all this. Now, I see that point of view, right? You get it. Because this isn't just basketball. You're not just tired.
Yeah.
This is you
and he's also not the one. Exactly.
This is you literally getting the shit kicked out of you. So, like, whatever.
Yeah. It's like me saying, hey, Luke, try to do a backflip off this table. You got it. You're a champ.
You're a champion. But I already tried 8 times and it didn't work.
Right.
Yeah. But it's just like one of those things where, in my opinion, you can never sit there and critique someone's sport as just someone that's never literally either probably been in a fight before or ever been in an octagon in that position. If you're in that spot, it's not a title fight, but that doesn't matter.
Right.
With how UFC works now, it's all about rankings. You win a fight, you don't just like, oh, maybe you'll get a title shot eventually. You move up the rankings.
Right.
So you throwing in the towel is not only going to hurt your career possibly, that's going to throw you off track when Dana White eventually sees you win 2 fights. He's going to see it go, okay, well, I could put him up against the champion, but he might be in the 4th round and say, I want to give up.
Yeah.
And do you know how much bad publicity that'll be if a guy goes up against a champion? It's like, nah, I'm good. I'm done. I'm tired. I don't feel it. So I just think it's like, it's such a biased viewpoint for so many of these analysts where it's like, people praise Tony Romo because
he has good stats.
Right.
He's the greatest.
Right.
He's the greatest analyst of all time. And it's like, well, yeah, he played the game. Like,
Yeah,
he knows
exactly.
what these guys are doing.
Exactly.
He knows their tendencies. Like
perspective is everything, right?
Exactly,
Like, if you don't know what it's like to be in the octagon taking a punch or trying to dodge a punch for that matter,
Who are you to
then
say?
what are you going to talk about how
the heart of
don't get me wrong, you could talk, right, but like the mentality of it
Yeah.
is such a different and unique perspective, which is why you're seeing more and more ex-players become color commentators.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's hard for me to really trust any opinion of anybody who's never played.
Yeah.
And truthfully, I kind of shot myself in the foot there because I was about to say, I've never played. I played varsity basketball, barely, if you call it that. And I try to talk about basketball. I consider myself somebody who never played, but has been involved in the game for my entire life and been around a professional setting and different perspectives. Right. So, I played, I'm a broadcaster, and I'm a coach. And I've interacted with NBA players, coaches, and GMs.
You've
so I like to think I have a pretty decent perspective. I've been a writer, a lot of these things.
I think it comes down to one of those things of, let's even say, because, I know I saw TJ every Saturday at Park Football.
Yeah, 100%.
But that's not me saying that TJ doesn't know it, because not only is he one of the most diehard Dallas Cowboys fans ever,
right,
which just hurts me to say, it drains the energy out of me, but he is one of those kids that played, and that's not him playing organized, but that does not mean he does not know the sport. So,
Bingo.
in my opinion, I agree with you where you're saying, you didn't play, I played football, varsity football.
Sure.
I was a special teams all-star.
Right,
And then I played, varsity lacrosse.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean, I played baseball all my life growing up. I know a good amount about it.
Right.
But, no, did I play? No. But I think that's where the disconnect is. It's bro, Booger McFarland, you didn't ever fight. And Stephen A. Smith, you've never been in an octagon before in your life. You've boxed a punching bag a few times. Congratulations. But, so I think that's where it is.
And a lot of it, too, is the disparity between somebody who's knowledgeable and credible, which there are a ton of people. Ton of people who have never played a sport in their life, but they love sports.
Yeah.
And they have credibility.
Yeah.
Right? But then you have the guys, too, who are just entertainers. And I'm not saying that a Skip Bayless isn't credible, but he's an entertainer. He's on TV to make outrageous claims and yell and basically talk shit. Colin Cowherd, another guy. They're basically put out there to talk shit and start a dialogue. So there's a difference between a writer, a staff writer, a company writer who has a lot of credibility. They do their research, all this stuff.
For the most part,
right. Yeah. And then somebody who's put on camera and to pretty much put on a funny hat and dance.
But they're there for the reason that we are talking about right now.
Exactly.
Because we are going to talk about them.
Right.
Because Stephen A. Smith is literally the greatest meme of all time. You can put him in any
100%.
situation.
100%.
Colin Cowherd literally spends days where he will just be like, and the Dallas Cowboys literally could have won the last 16 times. Just these absurd claims.
But let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. But Amari Cooper wasn't on the field.
Yeah, it's just these absurd claims that make people go, Like, did you just see what he said? And it's just the tweet, and it just like it's a trickle down effect. But all right, well, we'll talk about this the whole entire night. But I'll transition into over something we've kind of been like hinting at the entire time that I think all of us have probably done throughout the entire thing. But it's The Last Dance. Boy, was that electric!
The best commercial for Michael Jordan I've ever seen. Imagine getting 10-hour-long commercials for your brand. Oh, what a guy. What a guy.
The Jordan 1, the Chicago 1, which is a Jordan silhouette of a Jordan 1, one of his first shoes. It's like stocks with sneakers.
Right.
You have to see how high the dollar resale for this shoe has been just since because he's a Chicago Bull, so that's like everyone's go-to is a Chicago colorway.
Right.
This shoe, any shoe that he wore in the duration of The Last Dance, skyrocketed.
Yeah.
I'm talking like Air Maxes that he put on as like a wear-around shoe.
Right.
I was on like, the websites later that day, $350, $550, $700. I'm like,
that's crazy.
This shoe was on sale when I started at Champs for $49.99. I swear to God. So, it's just absurd. But I thought I'd ask you guys your opinion because, I mean, like, diehard NBA fans.
For sure.
What's your opinion on it?
Teach, kick it off.
About the
Last Dance.
Oh, I thought it was a great series.
Yeah.
It really, like, showed me that Michael Jordan is the best NBA player of all time.
Yeah.
I think that was 100% the intention.
I mean, that's...
Like, you know what I mean? That's what I meant by it's an ad.
But, like, it was definitely convincing. Like,
for sure.
I mean, yeah.
Like...
It definitely backs his argument up a lot.
Did you learn, like, did you watch that and say, wow, I never knew that before?
Oh, yeah. Like, from a bunch of, like, the episodes. Like, there's, like, certain things, like, I never knew, like, Jordan was able to do.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of people didn't know about the Nike deal. Like, a lot of people didn't know he was going to go to Adidas, and he hated Nike.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't know about the actual flu game, and it was like, more of a stomach bug than actually, like, the flu.
Yeah, I never knew that.
Like, a lot of people didn't know about Rodman's time actually going to WCW, or, and, like, joining the NWO. Exactly. Literally going, like, AWOL, and, like, literally being there the next day for a game. Like, so there was a lot of... Wow, like I had no clue, and you knew like you knew it, but you didn't know it. In
depth and all the stuff that went into it. Like I honestly, I never realized, like I never knew why the Bulls blew it up. To be honest with you, I never knew that Jerry Krause was like saying this is going to be Phil's last year, and Michael saying I'll never play for another coach ever.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so like, and I think an interesting perspective that I had at the end of the series too is. I think Phil is almost to blame for that team breaking up just as much as Jerry because at the end of the day, the owner would have overrode Jerry Krause and said, Phil, you're coming back. I don't care what Jerry says. And Phil was the one that was kind of like, I'm walking away. So I think there's a little bit of equal blame there that can be distributed. But that was kind of the lasting impression that it had on me is that we missed out on almost more than we got because there's always going to be that what if Jordan never went to go play baseball? What if Phil Jackson never walked away?
Finals.
Right? Would he have? We have no idea. We have no idea.
We can say it, but then you also got to think about like, listen. Every time he was playing, for the most part, he never really blew anyone out in the playoffs. Like he definitely did a great job, like solidifying he was that good. But dude, these guys were. A lot of these were nail biter games.
Right.
So a lot of people don't realize that. They're like, oh well, the Bulls won. It's like. Dude, you went into Utah, and that was not like... people are like, it's the Jazz, and you're like, well, did you know who the Jazz were back then?
It's the Jazz.
So who says that them going into the next season, they don't play the Jazz again and like get smoked because Dennis is so tired, because Pippen's not in it, because MJ's dealing with what... Yeah, like, who knows exactly?
And I think one of the coolest things is, like you just said, every series, for the most part, was a nail-biter.
Yeah.
All of the finals... For the most part, we're nail biters.
Like with every team.
But just having Michael Jordan on your team gave you enough confidence to know that you're going to win. So that, for me, was kind of like an affirmation of the legendary status that Michael Jordan had. You know what I mean? Like, you'll be on the opposite end of that. Like, you'll be on the Jazz, you'll be on the Lakers, you'll be on the Pistons for somewhat. And you're just like, 3 seconds left, we're up by 1. And it feels like we already lost because they have Michael Jordan.
Because they have MJ.
And I thought that was probably one of the coolest things. But ultimately, the number one thing from this Last Dance, to see Michael Jordan get choked up and upset and see that he still cares
so
much about winning.
Yeah. Oh
he
my God.
is the word I have for him, the only word I can use for Jordan is psycho competitor. And there is like it's almost like his body like does his like soul an injustice because it's like all of that determination, that drive is like being contained into a basketball player. Like, let's thank God that Michael Jordan didn't want to like take over the world. You know what I mean? Because he would have found a way.
Shout out Kanye.
Because he would have found a way.
Basically, what's going on right now. But
yeah, absolutely.
No, dude, I 100% agree. And like the biggest thing with me, I'm not the biggest basketball guy ever, but like I got sucked into the culture of basketball culture, and I think that's the biggest thing right now that I've really tried to use not only The Last Dance, but like black culture, African American culture, to learn about it because little people know about what actually goes on and how so many of what we do and trends and this and that started from the African American and black culture.
Right.
So I think Last Dance for me was something for me to just give me that much more desire to know about the Jordan legacy. For me, again, I'm a huge sneaker guy.
Right.
I've loved sneakers, basketball shoes, all that stuff, and just the culture behind it. Like, no one ever realizes why you pay $1,000 for a pair of shoes. Like, people think you're crazy. Why I wait in a line and that's why.
Why do you feel instantly cooler? Why are you confident?
Why do you think you
wearing
can hit every
a
three?
Jumpman look literally right now?
Yep.
Why does this why is this sweatshirt cool? Because Michael Jordan's name is on it, and Michael Jordan is attached to greatness and attached to winning.
Yep.
Like that just. And it's not even like he was the first person to have his own sneaker. There were so many people with their own sneaker before that, and then it went from here to here.
Exactly.
Just
now like not every player, but a lot of players have their own sneaker.
Right.
Westbrook, KD, Kyrie.
And think about the people who could have their own name on their sneaker but choose to go to Jordan.
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly.
Zion.
Yeah.
Yo, sidetrack.
Yeah, good.
Do you remember, what do you call it, Starberries?
Yes.
Back in the day, Starberries?
Yes. Yo, I used to wear them for travel basketball. I had 6 pairs of Starberries. I don't give a shit. Those things were the coolest sneakers on the planet. The planet.
We were in college.
What a concept, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
$14.95 for a pair of leather basketball sneakers so that kids in underprivileged areas can afford to buy their own sneakers.
Yeah.
And people rip them for it.
No,
you know what I mean? Like
course.
Starberries got laughed at. I thought they were a pretty okay sneaker.
They're fine. Compared to what's out now.
Fucking ran my Starberries into the ground. I milked those things for every ounce of basketball sneaker that I had. Stephon Marbury was the man.
No, of course, dude. And you know what? To that really quickly before we kind of go into it, it's like, it is sad because that's an amazing concept. And look, now, with how much money these guys have, we're not saying that all of them are cowards. And a big thing now that I hate, and we can probably all agree on, is like, when someone donates, it's never enough now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you make a donation where it's like that's kind of a slap in the face, where you donate, let's say $1,000 and your net worth is $2.7 billion.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of, you're an asshole. But if you donate, let's say $500,000, that's a lot of money. That will do a lot.
Right.
So for so many people now, it's like, oh well, it's Starbury. Oh well, why is he doing this? They look atrocious. He's giving kids the chance to do this. Where now the mom and dad that has to go into the mall and say, no, sweetie, I can't buy you that $140 pair of shoes. Right. Now with how shoes are going to $200, $300 each shoe, that was a shoe back then in the 2000s.
Yep.
$15.
Exactly.
People can buy that, and that gives someone a chance, and that gives them hope to play. And
I didn't even think
they
were that bad. I didn't think they were that bad.
They're not as bad as Kobe 2, the Adidas Kobe 2.
Oh, the one like just literally, it looks like the new Tesla truck.
Exactly, literally the Tesla truck. Oh my God! But
that being said, though, I'll never put a pair of Shaqs on my feet. I don't care. You can't pay me to walk into Walmart and be like,
the ones in the Walmart, not like a Shaq.
No, not a Reebok Shaq, not a Reebok Shaq. Excuse me, a Shaq.
Gotcha.
Like I'm not like with the elastic band keeping the two shoes together.
My name is Shaq. Get the new Shaq. The Shaq Papa John's. What is it?
Just give me the ball. I'm a dunk it.
Have you seen that? The new Shaq pizza at Papa John's?
I heard they kicked them off the board at Papa John's because he don't show up.
Every dollar donated goes to the Shaq Foundation. I don't know. It is what it is. But We'll kind of transition into what I think is probably going to be the biggest topic that will probably have the most traction on it. We'll do two different ones. Sure. I thought we would start off with top 5 underrated, just to kind of talk about it. We don't have to really rattle them off crazy or anything. Right. And again, you guys can probably go deeper into it, but I have my list, and Dylan, I'll let you go first.
I'll kick it off. This is a perfect transition, actually, because this is a guy who is the first basketball player. You got to remember, talking about signature shoes. Yeah. The only people who had signature shoes to begin with were tennis players.
Yeah.
Like sneakers were called tennis shoes back in the day or whatever. Yeah. And this is a guy who pretty much made having their own shoe on the court the coolest thing ever, which is Walt Clyde Frazier. Yeah. I'm putting him as my most underrated point guard. Man's a 2-time NBA champ, however many time All-Star. And you want to talk about top performers when the game is on the line? Everybody remembers the 1970 finals as the game that Willis Reed went down in Game 5. Mm-hmm. He walked out of the tunnel against Wilt and Jerry West and Elgin Baylor in Los Angeles, Game 7. And everybody remembers Wilt walking out of that tunnel. That's the most iconic moment of that game. Yeah. The most overlooked part of that game. Game 7, win or go home.
Yeah, exactly.
Walt Frazier, 36 points, 19 assists, 7 rebounds. And that gets overlooked. And he didn't even win Finals MVP. They gave it to Willis Reed, who had 4 points and only played the first quarter in that game. So you want to talk about being like a cultural icon. Yeah. Somebody who literally just got the nickname Clyde because he wore the same hat as Clyde and Bonnie and Clyde.
No, of
course.
Made
the whatever, I don't even know if it's a fedora or whatnot. made being somebody what's the word I'm looking for? Marketability off the court.
Yes.
Made that the coolest thing in the freaking world. Yeah. On top of that, he won. In New York City. And just overall, he's just one of the coolest dudes on the face of the earth. Yep. Wrote a book called Rockin' Steady and How to Be Cool. It was literally a book on how to get girls and how to play basketball. Who does that? Who does that?
Cool guys.
Yeah, exactly. Only cool guys. Only cool guys. So Walt Frazier is somebody who I think should get brought up when you're talking about the best point guards of all time. And I'm talking about a guy who is undisputedly a top 50 NBA player ever. It's just that his name doesn't get brought up in conversations for whatever reason.
Of course.
Walt Frazier definitely is a top 10 point guard all time.
You think so?
Yeah, I wouldn't put him.
But a casual fan wouldn't say that. You know your shit. You're a very knowledgeable basketball player.
See, I would not say that because
if you were to ask an NBA analyst, right, they would put him top 10 all time.
Sure.
I think
point guards or all players.
Yeah.
Point guard.
Okay.
But
I was like, wait.
I think an underrated point guard that no one talks about is what's his name?
What is his name?
We're gonna find out next.
Sidney Moncrief, the guy.
The
guy from the Bucks.
Yep.
The guy was a stud, and he played during the
Bucks and 6, baby.
he
oh my God!
He played during the era with Bird.
Right.
In the Eastern Conference.
Yep. And Sidney, speaking of the Last Dance too, Sidney Moncrief's one of the names that came up because Sidney Moncrief was regarded as the best, most locked down defender of guards in the NBA. Yeah. And what put Michael Jordan on was because I think he dropped 30 or 40 on Sidney Moncrief his rookie year. Yeah. And everybody was like, holy shit, this Michael Jordan kid can play. I'm going to agree with you. Sidney Moncrief is definitely somebody who doesn't get talked about. It's probably because he's a career 15 points per game guy, right? Yeah. So when you think of the Bucks, you think of Kareem, you think of Oscar Robertson, and you think of Giannis. Those are probably the big 3.
Ray Allen.
Somebody our age can tell you Michael Redd. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Ray Allen, exactly. Sam Cassell or something like that. But Sidney Moncrief is a name that doesn't get brought up enough, and I'm going to 100% agree with you. I'm not even going to dispute that he's underrated because he absolutely is. Yeah. Absolutely is.
No, that's a great pick. So for me, I just went off the list of I thought this would be a great talking point for what we just talked about, where both Rodman and Pippen are 2 huge guys of where now look, as a basketball fan, you're gonna not say that they're underrated. You're gonna say, listen, they are both phenomenal players. They're both they had their careers. They both have titles. They are there. But when you thought about it, prior to this, people did not talk about Pippen and Rodman in the way they are now. The marketability for them after this has been even so much bigger than it was then because of it.
How if Jordan never had Pippen and Rodman, Do you really think he would have won six finals?
Why do you think Jordan covered for him so much back in the day? Why do you think like he got on Pippen so much? Because he saw that Pippen was one of those guys that would like almost get down on himself. He saw that Scotty was other way around, that Dennis was a mental case, and he needed someone to be like, I'm literally chaining you to me. Like, you have to be with me. So,
but when the lights turned on, that you knew that Dennis was another insane competitor. He's somebody that you can trust, and for you to be able to play with Michael, he had to trust you first.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of what made Scotty so easy to trust is, and I'm just another Last Dance thing, tidbit here. I'm not to beat a dead horse. But Scotty went into his rookie year saying he'll be better than Michael Jordan.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's like kind of like that mentality that's Jordan-esque that I think that you have to respect. And Jordan also mentioned that you can't mention Michael Jordan without Scottie Pippen, and I think that's the absolute truth. And a lot of people, if you ask them, any writer, anybody who covered the NBA during that time period, they'll tell you that Scottie Pippen was the second best player in the NBA. The Bulls had
literally
1A and 1B. It's kind of like how like Steph and Clay are the two best shooters. Jordan and Pippen were two of the most in-your-face guys. They'll score on you, they'll embarrass you on offense, and they'll shut you down on defense. Not too many teams in NBA history have two guys at the guard and forward position like that. You think a guard and center a lot, you think a point guard and center a lot. Not too many teams had that shooting guard, small forward. The only ones I can the first ones that come to mind, honestly, are LeBron and D Wade.
Well, and think about
and even they didn't lock people down like Scotty and Jordan did.
Or you could put LeBron and Kyrie.
Yeah.
Well,
true.
And even think about what's even crazier is like you just put that giant scenario in front of us. Now think about when either one of them misses. Guess
How
what?
do you mean?
Like misses a basket.
Right.
Guess who's going to get the ball?
Exactly.
So, and then guess what's going to happen if they're going to go down? Guess who's going to be there to block it? Or guess who's going to be there to have that defense? So, like you said, it's the 1A, 1B of the players.
Right.
And then you're talking about a guy that's arguably top 20 during that entire stretch of it, who's a top 5 defender in the sense of what he can do getting boards, getting the ball back, getting like lockdown defense, So I think that's, that adds to it as well.
Dennis Rodman is the best disruptor, maybe in NBA history. You pick one guy to get somebody out of rhythm or get in their head, or Dennis Rodman. Him and Kevin Garnett are two of the biggest in-your-face guys, and they'll back it up every single time. Every single time.
Yeah.
So you got Dennis Rodman, he's also the best rebounder of all time too.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the credit goes to Jordan, but those teams are stacked.
No, of course,
in that regard.
Dude, they had guys the 5, 6, 7 point. Like literally the guy coming off the bench could score on you.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a crazy overlooked thing. But
not only Rodman's athletic ability to stop someone, like someone could just look at him and just be like, oh shit.
Literally.
I gotta go up against that guy.
I can't imagine how intimidated the bottom feeders of the NBA must have been going up against the Bulls every night. You know what I mean?
No.
And just knowing that Jordan was in Atlantic City, if you're a net, right? You're in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Jordan would get to fly into Newark, go straight to Atlantic City, gamble his ass off till 6 a.m., and then play a game that night. And embarrass you on your home floor.
Yeah.
He would do that. I think he would something in Toronto too. The Raptors were a friggin' joke. They used to call them the Toronto Barneys and all that stuff. And he would just literally just stay up and party all night and then drop 60.
Yeah. Just casually, because that's how good. Yeah, that's how good he is. But not some standard. But Dylan, we'll go back to you too with another underrated one.
Okay, another overlooked guy who should be brought up as one of the. I think he does get brought up when you talk about skill, but just overall play, and it's kind of because he had a short-lived career. And so I'll quit selling. I'll start telling. Pete Maravich is one of the more underrated. I think basketball players of all time. The surface fan will tell you. I know Pistol Pete.
Pistol Pete.
You know the name.
I knew that was the nickname.
Right, yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Sports.
Frank, I don't know if you're a big basketball guy, but you've heard of Pistol Pete.
Pete.
Exactly. But you don't know, just freaking how good this guy was, right? He was always on a terrible team. He was never on any good teams. But you're talking about a man who's averaged 31 points a game before a three-point line. You know how insane that is? And even before getting to the NBA, he's the college all-time leading scorer, a record that will never be broken.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
He will never, ever. That record.
He played 4 years.
Not even. I don't think he did.
I think it was 3.
3? Great.
3. He went to LSU. In 3 years, he scored 3,667 points. If they went back and they watched his games, if there was a 3-point line, he would have averaged 57 points a game in college. In the NCAA, 57 points per game. Points per game. That's ridiculous. Could you imagine now? Seeing a kid on ESPN every night dropping 57 a night, playing at LSU, playing in the SEC?
Exactly. Yeah,
give me a break. So I think when you look at it like that, like you're talking about a guy who you can plug into any era of basketball and he would be successful.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. I mean, he's like anybody else. He had a vice. He had a drinking problem. I think that one of the most ominous stories of all time is Pistol Pete literally said to a reporter, the last thing I want to do is play basketball my whole life, then like drink myself to death at 40. And that's exactly what he did. He died at 40 from alcohol. And so I think that a little bit of that, plus not winning, and him having a more, I'm going to say, illustrious college career than an NBA career. I think that plays into his underratedness. But when you're talking about a guy who's like revolutionizing a no-look pass, an around-the-back pass, an around-the-back dribble, through the legs, like a lot of the drills that we still do today are drills that Pistol Pete's dad made him do.
Yeah.
He would his dad would drive the car down the street, and he would dribble a basketball out the window just for like ball handling.
That's crazy,
like crazy stuff. Yeah, exactly. So Pistol Pete, for me at least, is underrated. Do you think he's underrated, overrated, or just like fine where he is?
I agree with that, but I personally think Joe Dumars.
The
guy,
Joe Dumars, Detroit Pistons.
Detroit Pistons. He was part of the Bad Boys, and he was never brought. He's never brought up.
No, he's never talked about. Yeah,
it was always, what's his name? Isaiah Thomas.
Bill Laimbeer.
Yeah.
Bill
Dennis Rodman.
Dennis for what, 2 years, 3 years, or?
No, a while.
Really?
He played his first 6 years.
Oh, really? Damn.
Okay.
Yeah. He was part of the 2 finals they won.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no one ever brings him up
not
as
even talked about.
being one of the main guys, helping out.
Yeah, he was one of he's a really, really good scorer. He could defend his position too. If I'm not mistaken, I don't want to be incorrect here, but I'm pretty sure his nickname was the Microwave because he can heat up and like that, and he'll drop. No, I'm serious. And he'll drop 30, in a blink of an eye. And Dumars, honestly, TJ had an even better. Maybe not better, but he had a great post-playing career too. Though he was actually the GM that put together the Pistons, who won in 2004.
2000s, yeah. That's crazy too, because we call my brother the Microwave, but it's because he gets very angry fast, so he eats fast.
Exactly.
So it's funny. So yeah, exactly. They're the same person. It's crazy.
That's why he has it. And I think too. I don't know how much you value that. You know what I mean? Like, do you think it's more or less impressive when somebody who has a good playing career also becomes a coach and is a good coach, or becomes an executive?
Look at Larry Bird.
I was literally just gonna say.
Larry
I was
Bird,
just about to flex it, man. Flex it.
I think
rocking Indiana State. Like, who brings Indiana State to the freaking NCAA championship? You know what I mean?
No one.
Literally Larry. That's it. Larry Bird, obviously NBA champ, MVP. Then went on to win Coach of the Year with the Pacers. Yeah. Went to the finals as a coach, and then went on to win.
Should have won the finals that year.
You're not gonna beat the Lakers.
Oh, dude,
you're not beating Shaq and Kobe. Come on.
No,
that team was good though. You're right. Yeah. You're absolutely right. And then I'm pretty sure he won Executive of the Year as well.
Yeah.
When in 2014 when Paul George and them took the Heat to 7.
Yeah.
God,
So
you talk about just start to finish, NCAA.
Just that guy.
All the way to being an executive. Larry Bird, I think, has the most impressive basketball resume as a whole ever.
See, weirdly enough, I had him I had him as one of my guys that was teetering, and the only reason is because he's hands down a top 10 guy, right? If you picked 10.
Top 5. No, not even.
Hey, don't tip your hand yet.
Listen,
maybe top 3.
It's an argument. It really is.
It's an argument, but the problem is, in my opinion, so again, this is not from a basketball expert, there's so many good guys in that top 10 that it's so hard because, you have Kareem. It's hard to say because he wasn't playing in the time. Then you have Wilt. Then you have so many. You have Bill Russell. It's so hard to say how would this guy do compared to that? So everyone's top 10 or top 5 is always a little different,
100%.
Just in the sense of where you look at the basketball skill, for
100%. I think really the only thing that you have to base it off of is how dominant was that person in their era. That's really the only thing you have to base it off of, right?
Exactly.
Like, nobody won when Michael Jordan started winning his championships. And even before that, like, people forget, like, outside of the championships, Jordan was an 11-time scoring champ. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
he played, 15 years total in the league? He was a scoring champ for 11 of them.
Absurd.
That's dominating your opponent. So, that's out of control. Yeah, the guy averaged 37 points per game.
It's...
Like, are you joking?
Insane.
That doesn't happen anymore. It just doesn't happen. So, when we get to what we're going to get to later, which is eventually our top 5, shameless plug.
Yeah, exactly.
It's important to remember that, of course, it's subjective. But really, what else do you have to base anything off of besides what that person did in their career, in their era, who they played for? So it's tough to have the argument MJ or LeBron, which everybody gets into always, because they played in literally 2 different games.
Yep.
Where a lot of the defense that Jordan faced is illegal now. You literally can't defend the same way.
Illegal.
It's a foul every time you put your hand on somebody, and hand checking was legal back then. So it's all subjective, and it really is just kind of a matter of preference.
Well, I'll end my last 2 underrateds. I'll let you guys do any more really quick ones afterwards. If you have any more, then we'll go to the top 5. But Clyde Drexler, I mean, dude. Clyde Drexel for me, so I'm biased because that was one of the first jerseys I ever copped. I got an All-Star jersey at Champs, like my second year working there.
What year?
It was 90. It was blue. It was 90.
Is it the one with the cactus on it? The Phoenix
so it's 95. 95.
Phoenix?
95. But again, like for me, I don't have as much of the love for basketball, like knowing the stats, knowing the games, things like that. But for me, I fell in love with those aspects of just
with
like
the jerseys and stuff.
Because like for me,
I did it.
Exactly. I'm always someone that loves absurd jerseys. I have 3 Kurt Warner Giants jerseys.
All right. Turn the cameras off. We got to talk to our buddy here.
But seriously, like I just love like the different jerseys. Look, I have a sand-knit Michael Jordan jersey that I will never get rid of for my entire life. I love that jersey till I die. I will give that to my kids. There's jerseys that I have I have a Larry Bird Olympic one where in the inside it's the gold and it has everyone on the team, all the accomplishments. Like I have these jerseys that I fell in love with not because I love basketball, but because I love the culture around it. So for me, he was a huge part of like me falling in love with it. And the other guy is my first ever basketball jersey I ever copped. I got it for $2 at a thrift store, and I have been offered 1,000,000 times to buy it. It's a New York Knick. Great, in my opinion. Take a guess, you know it.
New York Knick, Latrell Sprewell, the orange jersey. Yeah, I know exactly what it is. I tried to buy it off you in Wildwood.
So many times.
Here.
Literally, as I was wearing it in Wildwood, anytime you saw me that weekend, I was wearing that jersey.
100%.
And that was the first thing I ever like thrifted, like actually kind of getting into that culture. I still have it to this day.
We had a nice run there for a little while too.
Oh my God, we were killing it. I miss it because of the fact that I do it now, but like all I do online is I'm like I see this shit and I'm like I wish I could go find it somewhere. Like I wish I could go somewhere and have the chance of coming across some of the stuff we used to come across. But for me, it was like so funny. I was in high school. I was like big into it back then. It wasn't cool back then as much.
No, the big thing was Chinese jerseys in high school. You remember everybody? Everybody was ordering.
They were doing their orders. Everyone's doing mass orders. They're like, "Who do you need?" All right, $30. Give it to me. I'll have it in by graduation. Like you're like, what?
The amount of jerseys I gave away makes me sick.
Oh my God!
Were those like the authentically stitched?
Hell,
authentically, authentically stitched.
Yeah,
exactly.
I remember.
Yeah, it's either misprints or somebody freaking lifted like the blank jerseys off of a truck and stitched their own crap on.
Dude, the numbers fall off.
Right, yeah. You get like I think the funniest one that I ever saw was it was not the one you have on. You have a nice Nike one on right now, right? Our friend Dunshie had an Indiana State Larry Bird jersey, but it was a North Carolina jersey on the sides, and it was an Indiana State jersey on the front.
Wasn't there something else on the front that was different about it?
Yeah, literally the UNC logo.
It was the UNC logo on the collar right here, like right
where your tie would be. On it or whatever. Yeah. Those were classic. But to your point, that's how I got into sports in general.
Yeah.
Like I had a Michael Jordan sized toddler 8-year-old jersey that can like fit a freaking teddy bear now, and I still have it. That's gonna be my kids. I got a Merino, same size when I was a kid. Yeah. And my next jersey was Sprewell when I was like 7 years old. Yep. So from a young age, my dad was just buying me jerseys, and I kept doing it after he stopped buying them for me. It was just like something cool because then I learn about the players. I know who's good and who's not based on the jerseys that I have at the time. Exactly.
I have a Chase Blackburn Giants jersey. Dude, I'm not even kidding you. I'm at the point where
I just bought 2 Merino jerseys. I'm not gonna lie.
I have about 5 Merino jerseys, and it's really just because
why? Why am I just finding this out now?
So whenever I come across Merino jerseys, I always buy them because, in my opinion, it's just one of those jerseys that have they made so many
for sure.
But so one reason is because my girlfriend's dad is a diehard Merino fan, so I low key said I will always like give them a little bit of love because I mean, I don't care. They're not in my division. They're, I give them respect for being a great team that just couldn't get it done, but it's because they never gave the rest of the team anything, anything. Yeah. Like, Marino was throwing to us.
Yeah. Dolphins all-time receiver, I think, is like 8,000 yards.
Exactly. So,
it's something stupid.
I always loved that about it. And, the Dolphins it's a great team. Like, everyone always, says, oh, do you hate the Jets? And I'm like, no, I don't hate the Jets. Like, I also worked for the Jets, so, that's I'm a bias. Yeah. But I'm care.
Same with the Yankees. I'm a Mets fan.
I don't care because, number one, I don't play the Jets every year. I don't play them 2 times a year. I don't have to hate them. But they also have done nothing to me. I don't hate the Patriots. I actually love the Patriots, weirdly enough, and we've beat them in 2 Super Bowls.
Right.
And it's more because
that's probably why, because you can, because it's easy, because you always have that argument to fall back on.
But I also love them for Belichick. Sure. Belichick's helped the Giants win an '86 Super Bowl, which so little Giants fans know. But they're like, and you're like, no. There's a lot more.
Wait, what
to
it.
Yeah, exactly. But no, they just rattle off how Odell should have stayed and this and that and the other thing, and they don't talk about that. So hot take: Belichick will eventually be in the front office for the Giants.
That's what's up. T, do you have any jerseys that you ever had that you're just like, this is the coolest thing I've ever owned?
I mean, I did. I used to have a Jason Witten jersey. I used to wear almost every day.
Every single day.
In Parkland.
I remember Barclay,
middle school. Yep. But I overwore it so much, the numbers
just falling off.
Fade off. Yeah, the old Reebok jerseys, right?
Yeah.
it's just Witten, but no numbers. It's
just hitting.
One basketball jersey I used to have was it Steve Nash jersey.
Okay. The orange
Shout
one.
Out Steve Nash.
The orange one with the gray on the side. Yeah.
Rest in peace, Steve Nash.
Obviously, it doesn't fit me anymore because
exactly.
You got to get a new one. That's it.
You got it.
Decided.
Do you guys have any other underrated ones you want to talk about, or should we just get right into the kit and caboodle?
I mean, I had one more that I can bring.
If you want, you can throw one more out. Yeah, it don't matter.
I mean, I want to talk about a center. He's very not well known. Ever hear of Dave Cowens?
Yeah.
Boston Celtics.
It's not me.
He was a center. No one ever brings him up as a top 5, top 10 center. The guy won maybe 2 to 3 championships.
Yeah, he was an MVP. Absolutely. Cowens is one of those guys that you can trust every single game. He's a consistent 18 and 12 guy. Yeah. In an era where centers were... He played in the late 60s to the early 80s, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Yeah.
And just, because centers dominated the game at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So one of those old centers. Yeah. Right. Yeah, Cowens is definitely underrated. I agree, but I mean, Boston fans will hype him up like crazy.
Oh, of course,
like crazy. He's up there. His number.
He's one of those Boston guys. Yeah.
His number is retired. But when you're talking about best center, you're not going to bring in 6'8" Dave Cowens. I do have
that argument.
Right, exactly. But one of the guys that I was going to bring up if we're going to do a full 5, speaking of underrated, undersized centers, Ben Wallace. Is somebody who was huge for and especially cultural for us growing up. The afro and just the
Air Force Ones.
Ben Wallace. No, you're thinking of Rasheed Wallace.
Oh, yeah.
You're thinking of Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But Ben Wallace was literally 6'8" and freaking beat Shaq in a finals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like talking about one of the best defenders in NBA history.
Yeah,
that smash
like Dennis
mouth.
Rodman, but
Bingo.
Dennis Rodman
During
had
2000s. Yeah,
Bingo. Exactly. But the guy that I wanted to bring up too, who should get talked about when you talk about the greatest scorers, talk about the greatest players, and another guy like Pete Maravich who you can plug into any single era and he's going to be good. Elgin Baylor.
Yeah.
Elgin Baylor is a guy who averaged 34, then 38, then 34 points per game in 3 consecutive seasons. Like, who the hell does that? Like, nope. Like, that's unbelievable. I think he was 27 and 13 for a career, points and rebounds. And his biggest knock is that he just never won. Like, the Lakers, like Jerry West is the logo, and he went 1-8 in NBA Finals. They beat the Knicks 1 year.
Literally absurd.
Elgin Baylor.
It's crazy.
Elgin Baylor, one of the best scorers ever. 0 for 8 in finals. It's just what it is. Like winning, if you win, like the winner writes history. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So all those,
we
talk about all those great Bill Russell teams. We could just as easily be talking about all those great Jerry West and Elgin Baylor teams. They just lost.
Yeah.
And that was the story too forever. Like the Lakers
better teams.
Exactly. No, yeah, I mean, dude, that's that. And the crazy thing is that's with sports, just in general. Like, I mean, Marino was like statistically one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. When you look at it, like when you say like, oh, who's the best? Like,
before Peyton and Brady, a lot of people said Marino and Montana.
100%. And now it's so sad to even like think about the fact that we don't even bring up those guys in that argument anymore because like everyone's like in my opinion. Brady has kind of done it. Like, Brady's went over that hump of being able to say, like, I'm that guy.
Sure.
Then after that, it's kind of what way you want to go. Like, do you want to say Peyton? Do you want to say Dan? Do you want to say... I mean, like, in my opinion, Brett Favre was an interception machine, and he was a guy that was supposed to be one place forever and ended up in 3 different places. So it's like, where's your loyalty lie? And it's just there's so many great. It's just like this. I can't even take this.
I'm sorry. Do you guys remember the John Madden popcorn maker skit from Mad TV?
No.
Oh my! Do your research. YouTube John Madden popcorn maker. Frank Caliendo, I think it is.
Dude,
the best. He does a John Madden imitation, and he's like trying to make popcorn, and the popcorn maker it's like blowing steam in his face, and he's getting all like that. Oh, it's so funny,
dude. All I think of now is Wrangler jeans and copper tone.
Yeah, and
copper.
Copper
fit.
Copper flex.
It's copper fit. He throws it to Jerry. Dude, he throws it to isn't it Jerry Rice or is it? Yeah, it's in the most pickup game of your life. Like, imagine pulling up to the park, like park basketball at MJT or wherever, and like Favre is throwing to Jerry Rice, just like in a pair of Wrangler jeans with a copper fit on his knee. Like, it's absurd, you know? Like, oh my God, how the mighty have fallen.
And there's everything. There's like for your elbow, your knee, and now there's like gloves now.
Yeah,
like fucking like punch through walls.
In case the commercial's always like
back too.
Yeah.
The commercial's like if you can't pick up your water, and it's like
so give it like 10 years, you're just gonna see full body suits of copper fit, and like that's what we're gonna give to our soldiers.
Like exactly, yeah, literally, it's gonna be like the robotic legs. Like Copper Fit is your newest sponsor on the moon. Like
you got new legs.
Like Mars's flag is gonna have someone in like a copper fit with Wrangler jeans on the outside. Like, my God.
I mean, that's at least I think we know now why copper is so expensive in the United States. It's because Brett Favre is monopolizing the copper market. You just go to Brett Favre's house and just stacked up all over.
I thought Bezos was a problem.
Jesus.
Oh my God! All right, well, we'll transition into our main topic of the night, and we'll do our top 5. Usually we go around, but I thought it probably makes more sense now that it's been a little bit. We just like write our top 5 off and just kind of like bounce it off of each other. Yeah. I thought I would start with you and give you the opportunity to do your top 5.
So I guess I'll go over my 5. You know, point guard, the center.
Yeah.
All right, point guard. I
and it doesn't have to be in order. Like, it doesn't have to be like your starting 5. It could be your just top 5. So it could be all point guards if you want.
Oh, well,
it could be whoever you want, whatever you want to do.
I mean, like a start.
That's fine.
I went by position as well.
Yeah, that's fine. I just did my top 5, but you're good. Do it.
Well, I put down, Magic Johnson. You can't go wrong with Magic. My shooting guard, obviously, you got to go MJ.
100%.
He's definitely number 1.
Yeah.
my two forwards, I put down Larry Bird and Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan,
Okay.
who could have went in underrated because no one thinks of Tim Duncan. As
just because of how boring his game is.
Yeah.
But he just did everything so well forever.
But easily is considered like a top 10, top 15 guy when you like break it down. Like if you want to make that argument, he could be in that in that case.
It's like the way I see it is Tim Duncan is.
The guy won like how many?
He's the best
finals?
power. I think he's the best power forward of all time. But he's right up there. I think you can't go wrong with Duncan. I think Garnett is arguably the second best of all time. When you talk about just skill, like Garnett was unbelievable.
I don't think Garnett would be second best power forward all time.
Who would you take over him?
I would take Dirk over him.
Dirk and
I would take Dirk.
What about Karl Malone? Would you take Karl Malone over KG?
I don't think Karl Malone, he
is a terrible person.
Nah, I mean I don't think he ever won a championship. Right?
No, because Jordan.
Yeah.
And then he went to the Lakers, and he was supposed to win that year, right? And that's when the Pistons beat him. Yeah. Gary Payton and Karl Malone both joined the Lakers, and they still couldn't win.
Yeah.
Bang bang.
But and the center, I put down Jabbar. You can't go wrong. The guy was a monster.
No, absolute, yeah.
Literally, I mean, all-time leading scorer in NBA history. Probably one of the most dominant scorers ever.
Right?
Yeah. And the longevity of his career, too, is a huge thing. Like, that guy played forever.
Yeah, forever.
He made the All-Star game, like, 19 times.
Yeah. I want to say, I think he has the record of 20. And Kobe is in second with 19. I think. But you're making a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, word. All right. Yeah, all right. I can't argue against Kareem at all.
No, that's a great one too. Is that 4? Right? You're missing 1? 5? No.
No, you got 5.
No,
you got your 5?
Yeah, that was 5.
Yeah.
All right, word.
And like the thing is with these lists too is like there's so much freaking talent.
Oh my god.
Obviously, it's tough. Like I can't tell you that 5 is wrong.
No.
I can just like give you a 5 that I think could potentially beat that 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And dude, and like we're saying, like the 5 I have, they're all different positions. Like it could be all the same position, whatever. It doesn't even matter. But it's like we talked about earlier. It's so crazy to think that in almost every argument, as much as we talk about these 5 guys of Magic, we talk about Larry, we talk about LeBron, we talk about MJ, we talk about whoever else you want to throw into the combo. It's always so funny to watch how after that, there's so much talent when it comes to basketball. Like, we're not talking about, like, a little drop-off. We're talking about guys that are, like, right on par with a lot of these guys.
Right.
And they're just, like, not the guy you go to.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking about Kobe being, like, the 9 spot in the top 10.
Right. Yeah, which is tough, too, because, like, how can you say that he's the closest thing to Jordan and he's ranked 9?
How can you say, and, like, how can Jordan say that? How can Michael Jordan go out and be like, hey, guess what? The closest person to me is this guy.
Right.
And you have him at like 9, 10, 11. Some people have him in like 15 because they're like, oh, and you're like, how?
Right.
Look at what this man did. Like, and not only that, like, I mean, it's kind of teasing to mine, his work ethic. Like,
sure.
I don't think there is anyone that has a better work ethic than, rest in peace, that man did. Like,
yeah.
Again, like you said, he was the guy that didn't need the analytics because guess what?
He gets the job
He
done.
knew it
right
when you didn't because you're like, oh, well, Kobe, I don't think that's a smart shot.
That.
He's like, well, guess what? I took that shot 70 times this morning at 3 o'clock, so I know I'm going to hit that shot. Don't worry about me. So, I mean, like, that's the crazy thing is, like, I mean, Shaq is the 10 spot.
Right. And he is considered the most dominant player
of all time.
That's ridiculous.
It's absurd. But I'll just read my 5 off because, again, it's like, my 5 is going to be a little different. But I have Kareem, too. I mean, dude, the guy was an absolute monster for his time. And you could probably plug and play him here, too, and he would be, an absolute animal. Bill Russell is... It's one of those arguments that whenever you bring him up, someone's argument immediately is always like, well, look at when he played. It's like the same thing with Yogi Berra. It's like Yogi Berra won, 10? Or was it 8?
Yeah,
10? The guy won 10 World Series, and it's like, oh, well, he played baseball during. It's like, the guy
shut
up,
11 finals,
exactly. But it's exactly everyone's argument. Like I said before, it's like everyone always has a but. It's like,
right.
It's like you haven't won one. Like these people, like Harden could probably go out and say, well, yeah, it was a different time. It's like. You put up 60 a game, and that's great, but you don't have anything for it. Don't sit there and, ridicule the past.
Exactly.
The reason that the game is how it is now is because that man paved the way.
And James Harden is going to be somebody that we're going to have to tell younger generation about in regards to, sure, great scorer, but he did it at the free throw line. He would literally, purposely draw fouls and go to the line, or he'd be chucking the entire game.
Yeah.
And he never won anything yet, maybe.
38 for 65.
You know what I mean? So that's a guy that you're going to look at his stats and you're going to say to you, and you're going to, if you're only looking at the stats, try to bring up into the conversation as the greatest so-and-so.
One of the greatest scorers.
And people who watching him are going to be able to say, that ain't it. That ain't it. Even with Wilt, right? Wilt, I think, has 2 championships, and he's still one of the most statistically dominant players of all time. The guy averaged 50 and 25 in a season.
He was also the tallest player in his era.
Right. But even then,
there was no one.
It doesn't matter. That's the point Luke's making. It doesn't matter when you're anybody. Dude, if I went out right now and I played against 8th graders. I'm 24, and I averaged 50 and 25. I think that's still impressive. I don't care.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters too much. Or would you just tell me, you're playing 8th graders? Or would you be like, yo, you're getting 50?
If Dylan and 4 other 8th graders went up against 5 8th graders, and Dylan had 56 points. That's still pretty commendable, regardless.
I'd still be pumped. Exactly.
He's gonna ride home for it.
So, the point I'm making, Luke, your all-time 5 greatest, I 100% agree with you that Bill Russell should be in the conversation because where Wilt is the statistical god of NBA basketball, Bill Russell is the ultimate winner. Played 13 seasons. Won 11 championships in 13 seasons.
Nice.
And then, I think he did it as a freaking, player coach. He was fucking Jackie Moon of the Boston Celtics.
Oh my god. But just think about that. 11 in 13 years.
No matter what. Cool. Wilt Chamberlain averaged 50 points a game one year. Bill Russell averaged 15 points and 13 rebounds and won a championship.
But he can go
this. Where do you...
But he can go like this and still needs a finger.
Exactly.
It's absurd. But
so it's, I won't even tell you, somebody's better. Because who just, dominated the NBA Bill Russell? Nobody.
Yeah, no one. And again, my 3 spot goes to LeBron. It's self-explanatory. I think the biggest part of the argument and what the Last Dance really showed us is what we alluded to earlier, the fact that the game now is 100% different. That's not discrediting anything from LeBron in the sense that I saw him in the Garden my senior year.
Jealous.
Literally, I got the tickets for my birthday from an ex, shout out, and the most absurd thing was I did not even really like basketball that much, but I was a Knicks fan back then, apparently. I don't remember. It was 2013 or whatever. And I saw him, and we were in the 300 section.
Right.
And that man was gigantic.
Yeah.
So...
MSG, by the way, no bad seat in that place.
No.
Love the Garden. Love the Garden.
It's amazing. But the fact that man was just that dominant, the fact that man is just that big, he is so talented, and his size now in the game, it's not just because he's tall.
Right.
Yeah.
Most of the guys that you play now, look at KD. He's tall, but guess what? He's not a mountain.
Athletic,
and he's been healthy his whole career.
A couple games he'll sit out because his knee hurts or his back hurts.
Right.
But then, surprise,
you know what I mean? Yeah. And when he was going to the finals for 8 straight years, you can give up a few games against the freaking Charlotte Bobcats to make sure that you're healthy for the playoffs.
100%. And he, think about it. The guy literally went to some playoff games with who? Some good teams, everyone always,
especially in Cleveland.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Look at him.
He's talking about Cleveland.
Yeah. Oh. When he went to the Cavs the second time, great. It was a good team. When he was with the Heat, good team. Probably a great team.
Great team.
When you think about where he started, he is exactly like MJ, where in the fact that they were oh yeah, we lose, but whatever, and MJ went in there and was like, what?
Yeah,
what do you mean? What do you mean you're happy with losing?
The guy made Mo Williams an all-star.
If you look at LeBron, though, he should really be 1-8 instead of 3-6. If it wasn't for Ray Allen making that shot.
Oh, I mean,
but he did.
Yeah, but listen, if we sit here
I know what
and
you're saying.
say
He got bailed out.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for Kyrie, what happened?
Yeah. But still, if it wasn't for John Paxson, if it wasn't for Steve Kerr,
if it wasn't for literally David Tyree, like we can talk about it with any sport though. Like you can't, like I mean, dude, David Tyree caught a ball on his helmet. And Julian Edelman bobbled the ball and somehow caught it. Like, I mean, think about these things. That's why sports right now is everyone's craving it, because there is that part of like wow to it where anything can happen. As much as it's like, I mean, dude, the Giants took down a literally team that was going to be the greatest team of all time because they weren't going to lose a game.
Not so fast.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out
72 Dolphins, baby.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Fins up.
But it's just like, I think that's the allure of sports, is the fact that is possible in the fact with it. But
for sure.
But then I'll just end with my last two. My two is, again, this goes back to my just like the fact of where my roots come from with it, is Kobe. Kobe's my favorite basketball player because of him, because of the second coming of Jordan. He's my favorite basketball player because of his shoes. In my opinion, every Nike Kobe has always been good. There's been a couple that you're like, but I mean, dude, there's been bad LeBrons, there's been bad KDs, there's been bad Kyries. Kobe.
The only Kobe's that I didn't like were the ones where after he tore his Achilles, like the high ones.
So that was one that I actually liked, but it was because I had them. I sold them all off, and this was before he passed. And I swear to God, I wouldn't have sold them now. Like, I would have just loved to have had them and be like, this is how much they're worth. I won't sell them. But I was in high school. Someone offered me a good amount of money back then, and I was like, clear me out, buddy, take them all. Yeah. And like for Kobe's, I was like, whatever. That guy's probably sitting there going like this now, counting his checks, because each one is worth the amount of money that I sold 5 of them for.
I was watching
which is absurd.
I was watching I was watching the news, like watching the coverage of everything, and I thought to myself, holy crap. I got in my car, drove straight to the outlets right by my house, and went to Nike, and I bought myself a pair of Kobe's just before they got cleaned out, just so I had something.
Smart man, yeah.
Just so I had something. Yeah. Because he's like in order. Literally, like my favorite player was MJ. Like Space Jam is the reason I work in professional sports.
Yeah.
Like, Space Jam is like, not to sound corny or nothing, but like a part of who I am as Dylan Burns. Like if I didn't like Space Jam, I wouldn't have liked sports. And I don't know if I would be where I am today. Like, seriously, because of Space Jam. Yeah. I used to make my parents call me Michael Jordan. I wouldn't answer to Dylan. I used to have to get announced into the room, like, now entering Michael. And I used to fucking sprint in, like 3'2" of me. And so, like, basketball and MJ are such a big part of, like, my life growing up. And then it was Sprewell, because my dad used to take me to Knicks games.
Yeah, of course.
But right there with Sprewell was Kobe.
Yeah.
Because Kobe was the freaking man.
The man.
Everybody liked Kobe. If maybe if you weren't a Suns fan, you'd like him a little bit more. But
sorry.
I don't know. I mean, I never hated him, you know.
Yeah, you got to appreciate him, right? It's like Tom Brady if you're anybody.
It was either Kobe or Dirk always beating the Suns in the playoffs.
Right.
Sorry. Yeah. This is. But I mean, I'll end it with my 5. Shocker, it's MJ.
Right.
Again, I have a Wizards one of him. I have both white and red of his Chicago. I'm looking for a black one. I'll eventually get it, but it's not my biggest priority now. I more have the sneakers I have everything 1 through 11. I stopped at 11 because 12s are, in my opinion, everything up there is just garbage. But I even have his 2s that are his Italian shoe that's disgusting, but like I keep them because like I want that 1 to 11 where like that was the prestige of that guy's career.
Sure.
I mean, again, like he's not only to me like the reason that he was so good. Like he was so good and I was like, that's awesome. But like for me, it was just like the culture behind it. Like I fell in love with Jordans because like this guy was able to, so Jordans, the shoe, are a $13 shoe. That is how much it takes to make a pair of Jordan 1s. That shoe sells at retail for anywhere from $160 to $200. That shoe then on the secondary market sells anywhere from $250 all the way up to, depending on the availability with the shoe, up to let's just say $1,000. So, I mean, you're talking about a guy that no one else in the game has been able to do that. Like, everyone else has tried. LeBron has tried to make these colorways and these exclusives, and, like, some of them hit. If you can get a pair of Fruity Pebble LeBron 4s, they're, like, worth everything. If you can get a Stewie pair of LeBron 2s, I think it is. Like, there are these shoes that are so great. But you're talking about a couple with one guy, and you're talking about every single one with another. Right. So, I mean, for me, that's why, that guy's number one for me is more that reason. Mm-hmm. But obviously, I mean, his resume probably does
you're talking about a global brand on top of being the ultimate competitor and champion in that maybe sports history.
Exactly.
So, it's an easy call. Michael Jordan has definitely got to be in everybo's top two.
Definitely. All right, well, I'm excited to get to yours. Yours is I'll
start off with MJ, just for the reasons I told you. It's the reason I like basketball. It's my favorite player growing up, and I barely even understood what I was watching.
Exactly.
For all the reasons too, just being a global brand, a winner, a competitor. I try to emulate that drive as much as humanly possible in everything that I do.
Yeah.
And speaking of jerseys too, so I'm pretty pissed that I have them in kid size. Like, in hindsight, I would have bought every jersey that I did as a kid in an adult size too, so that I had the same ones. Because right now I have his high school, college, and the rookie scripted Chicago red,
great,
the black with red pinstripes.
It's in my opinion, it's an ugly jersey, but
definitely,
you gotta have it. I guess.
Exactly. I have a black UNC and then a white Laney.
Okay.
And then my favorite jersey that I own is my gold champion Jordan. Like, I can get rid of that thing for $1,000 right now.
And now, for people that don't know, I mean, me and Dylan have obviously been obsessed with this forever, but we, like, low-key took a couple trips back in the day because we not only did we fall in love with it, when we were however old, but when we were in college, we used to go into the city all the time and just, like, scavenge the thing, and we became very good friends with Mr. Throwback, who's a brand out there, and that's Dylan's literally homeboy.
Dude, he had a kid. He like DM'd me to tell me at like 3 a.m.
Exactly.
I was
literally.
like, all right.
they're that much of boys. Like,
it's pretty dope.
But that jersey is one of those, like, in my opinion, never wore it. I mean, MJ never went on the court with a gold jersey.
Right.
But that jersey is one of those where it's not like that corny USA jersey that you see in a Jets Dolphins game where you're like, oh, where'd you get that, AliExpress? Because, like, they never wore those. That gold jersey is not one of those where it's like you never wore it. It's like, it's wow, that's an amazing.
And I don't even know what the release was for with those champion jerseys. It might have been like an anniversary or something.
It's a champion, right?
Yeah.
Or is it
champion. Yeah.
So it might just be like the Mitchell and Ness, how they do it now, where they put out those,
Where the Mitchell and Ness is just trying to copy champion.
I mean,
I don't like Mitchell and Ness's products.
I don't like Mitchell and Ness. I think they're good quality. And I think I love, like, that they're an old school brand. Like, they're concerned about the stitch and the whatever.
But unless you're buying authentic, though, they don't.
But, bro, why am I buying a $350 pair of shorts? I could go to Mr. Throwback and get the ones that they had. Like, he has gamers.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why am I going to go spend the money? Like, and, like, no offense.
Why wouldn't I want, like, Shaquille O'Neal's ball sweat on like, I can get his, like, game-worn.
Dude, are you kidding me? Like, there's a chance
for the same price as clean shorts.
There's a chance LeBron's wee-wee was in there? Like, sign me. Like, no. Like,
Paul Pierce shit his pants in these shorts.
You remember Jeremy Ling? Like,
oh, my God. All right. Woo! I'm glad we went down that road.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so MJ is definitely on there. At small forward, I have LeBron also. I think he's 1B when you talk about the best players of all time.
Hands down.
Dominated since he was a rookie. All the awards, all the stats, everything is in favor of saying this guy is one of the best basketball players, if not the best basketball player of all time. There's definitely an argument for him being the greatest. I think the winning and like just watching Jordan play, there's just something. I know that's weird to say, but like there's something that is just like indisputable. You can confidently say,
I think
holy cow.
Yeah. I think the only difference between LeBron and Jordan is Jordan can get it done in prime time. Like you never heard him like choke.
Yeah, right.
Depend on someone else to.
Yeah,
right.
Like he wouldn't dish the ball off to someone
for sure
to take by a shot.
Yeah.
Whereas LeBron, he could not most games, and a few important games.
he's not the guy with the last shot.
No,
Yeah.
I understand.
Not,
but the flip side of that, Teach, like, you can't fault the guy for making the right play. If LeBron's driving to the basket and the defender comes and he hits the open man, like, what are you going to say? Oh, Jordan would have shot it over 3 defenders? So I understand what you're saying. Don't get me wrong. Like, Jordan just was like that alpha. It was just get out of the way.
Yeah.
I got you.
Like, Jordan always wanted the ball in prime time.
Right.
Well, exactly like you said before, though. Like, what about Ray Allen? Like, what if he didn't pass it to Ray Allen and he tried to, like, man up it, get it in, and take the foul? Right. And then, like, imagine he did none of those things.
Right.
Like, imagine he missed the bucket, and then,
For me, I think the biggest difference between Jordan and LeBron is you got to think about how early the spotlight was on LeBron. Like, he was, like, depicted the next Jordan when he was 15 years old.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
He was a sophomore in high school, and he's getting national attention. Yeah. So he had this expectation to live up to. Yeah. Everybody knew that Michael Jordan was a great scorer until he started winning championships and started, like, killing people out there. You know what I mean? So, like, LeBron always needed to be that guy, and you can tell that he like kind of wanted to please everybody. He was like he cared about what people thought about him. And he still does. He's always trying to change narratives and things like that in his favor. And I think that's one of the biggest differences too when it comes to MJ and LeBron. Like MJ, don't give a
I don't think he put out The Last Dance because he needed it. But I think they put it out because he could. Exactly.
They did it. They signed off on that documentary the night that LeBron beat the Warriors.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So literally, like LeBron knocks off 73-9 team, and then Jordan's like, "Yeah, I'll do the documentary."
What's a better spite situation?
Nothing.
MJ and LeBron, or MJ and Isaiah? I got you there. That's a listen. That man is still like I love him. I respect his game, but he could die in a well, and I would in The Last Dance. I was like this. I was like I love this,
and you can tell it still bothers him.
A cigar out to here. He's like, I hate that guy for not shaking my hand. Like I literally would probably fight him on the spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my cargo jeans. Like,
absolutely. And I was saying earlier, like you can tell he still cares. Like, he's like crying. Yep. He's crying, talking about how much he loves to win.
Yep.
I wish I had 1/10 of that competitive drive. Like that's like from a different galaxy.
Yep.
Like only like 5 people on Earth have ever had that in them.
Give me
I didn't know if you were telling me to turn my voice.
No. I was saying, give me like give me a dash of his like winning, and give me a dash of Kobe's work ethic, and I'd be like the greatest whatever the hell I am doing of my entire. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Like I said earlier, let's thank God Michael Jordan played basketball. Right? Oh my
Instead
God.
of just poker and then had to get up.
Right. Exactly. All right. So who do I have? I got MJ and LeBron.
Yep.
So I got shooting guard, small forward. My favorite. I'm gonna get to the point guard. Hold off on that one. I'm gonna throw a curveball at you.
Oh, okay.
A curveball at you.
Baseball.
Sports. I'm gonna agree with Tej. Best power forward. I'm gonna go Tim Duncan. There's nobody that you can just throw out there and just trust that he's gonna get the job done continuously. 20 points, 10 rebounds.
Yeah.
Ultimate winner. Guy got it done. Smartest basketball mind. He's a coach now with the Spurs.
Yeah.
So he's just one of those guys that you want to play with and play for, and you can, like, he's just never not been good. I don't know how else to put it. He's just like one of the most consistently great basketball players ever.
And he's a good guy.
Like, you get. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say he has great fundamentals.
Bingo. Too. That's exactly what I was gonna tell you. Yeah. Like there's no extra movements.
No, he doesn't need it.
Nothing. Like it's a shot fake, get the defender up, drive by him. It's a jab step. Your defender backs up and he buries it. It's back to the basket, fake left, turn right, layup, good.
Off
like
the backboard.
Everything he did was just north south, him straight to the basket. Nothing extra, and defender comes, makes the right pass.
Literally.
Just everything, literally is like, if you want to learn how to play basketball as a big man, you just watch Tim Duncan. That's it. Yep. That's it. He is literally like if you're writing a book on what to do when you want to be good at basketball, you just write about Tim Duncan.
How to be cool.
Literally. It's like, it's exactly. Rock and steady and how to be cool. And there's so few guys in there. I think Kawhi is one of those guys too. When he was with the Spurs, at least he was a little robotic. Yeah. And then you saw him kind of branch out a little bit more last year with the Raptors and with the Clippers. He gets away with a little bit more than he would have with Pop.
Yeah.
So I got MJ, I got LeBron, I got Tim Duncan, and this one I went back and forth with a little bit. And just for just for the sake of changing it up, I'm going to go Shaquille O'Neal at my 5.
Okay.
Just because, like, I'm picturing him, like, backing down Kareem in the post. Like, you know how many guys, like Mutombo, right? Kind of same body type as Kareem. Like, Shaq would just, like, go, like, straight, like, nuts to his face and just, like, put his elbow in the rim.
Exactly,
and dunk all over him. You know what I mean? You're talking about one of the most physically dominant players in NBA history.
Probably the strongest, too.
Gotta be. Gotta be. And when it mattered most, that's when he stepped up. Like, you give him crap for, like, not being able to make a free throw, but in crunch time, he was making free throws.
Didn't Shaq, like, break the backboard?
He has a tree. Did you see that? No. He put up like a picture on his Instagram the other day or whatever. He has a tree in his backyard from every rim he's ever broken.
That's amazing.
It's the coolest thing I've ever seen. At first I was like, this guy's in his backyard shooting on these different rims. I thought it was just like all these different angles where his kids all just practice. Right. Like all different heights, whatever. I'm like, I don't get how that's statistically smart. Like I feel like it's just probably easier to shoot on a 10-footer or whatever. Yep. But I was like, wait. And I read the description. It's like, this is every net he's ever broke. I was like,
yeah. That's...
Oh, sick.
It's unbelievable.
Like, yeah, it's amazing.
And then with the stats to back it up, you know what I mean? And on top of that, the winning. So, like, anytime the Lakers were closing out a series, you look at the stats, and it's like, Shaq's got 35 and 17 with 8 blocks.
Yeah.
So, to me, I think that you can put Shaq up against anybody, anytime, at that center position, and he'll handle his own. So, I'm going to go with Shaq at the 5. And at point guard.
Oh, God.
I will go with the 2-time MVP, Stephen Curry. I'm going to take Steph Curry over Magic. I'm going to take Steph Curry over John Stockton, just for the sole reason that Steph Curry changed the game of basketball.
Yeah.
The way that the game is looked at and what you can and can't do and the shots that you can and can't take just completely blew the doors open for a whole generation of basketball players who, obviously, with the introduction of the three-point line, like that happened in 1980. We're not too far removed from that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, like, you're taking a game that's been played since, like, what, 1946 was the first year of the NBA? Yeah. 1946 up to 1980. We're just around, what, almost at the same amount of time with and without a three-point line. So, like, the game is changing, definitely, but Steph Curry is that name that you're always going to attach to the greatest shooter of all time, and he's not even close to done yet.
Yeah, exactly, which is crazy.
No question about it.
Because, like, before that was who? Ray Allen?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
Ray and Reggie.
Yeah, exactly.
It was Ray Allen, probably greatest shooter.
Yeah.
Right. Now, but then when you think of Ray Allen as a shooter, right, that wasn't until it was later in his career where he's, like, mostly spotting up or coming off of a screen and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Steph is passing it, running to, like, literally
wherever,
cutting off a block, coming back, catching it, off a curl, 35 feet away. Pulling it, nothing but net. Or going through the legs twice, around the back twice, breaking somebody's ankles, putting it up. Like, my favorite highlights of Steph are when he was playing the Clippers, I think both of them are actually, when he went around the back twice against Chris Paul on the baseline. And you can look all these up. Around the back twice on Chris Paul, broke his ankles, went back out the three-point line, knocked down a three, and then he kind of like went like sham god, threw his legs around the back in between 3 defenders, turned around and just like you would have thought he never even saw the rim.
Yeah, exactly.
And put it up and drained it. And Steve Kerr is like this, like, what are you doing? And then he makes it, and all he can do is this because it was just like, what the hell did I just watch? That 2014-2015 season where the Warriors won 73 games and ended up losing, that is the best individual season that I have ever seen in my entire life from a basketball player. Steph Curry in 2014-2015, his first MVP year. That is the greatest NBA season I've ever seen in my entire life. Yeah. And I don't think that you can, honestly, I'm hoping this argument gains a little bit momentum in the circuit of sports and journalism and how basketball gets remembered. Because Steph Curry, like, when you say who plays like Steph Curry, who, like...
No one.
No one. Yeah, exactly.
No one. Who dominated like Michael Jordan? No one.
Yeah.
Like the Kobe, maybe, but no one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's never been a LeBron. There's never been a Jordan. There's never been a Steph Curry.
It's the same thing.
And when you're in that rare air of just one of one, you gotta include Steph.
Yeah.
You gotta include Steph. And Magic was my second.
It
was at my first thought it was Magic, but Steph is the freaking man to me.
I think the Steph argument. So my problem is like with sports is kind of like the Warrior or Seahawks mentality of people, where it's the bandwagon fan, right?
Sure.
Like as soon as Curry did that amazing feat,
Right.
people were like, where's my jersey? Like, who can I buy? And it was never like the other guy. It was always the Currys, which is like, look, I mean, I get it. You're getting a Russell Wilson jersey for a reason. You're getting a Curry jersey for a reason.
I had a poopy Chinese Steph Curry in high school. I'll never forget that.
And like, I respect that, right?
Right.
But I always hated that fact of things because it was always never the passion behind like why I bought it. I didn't buy a Clyde Drexler jersey because it was the sexy jersey. I bought it because it was different,
Right.
and it was because whatever.
Right.
But I can also sit here and say like that man, like you said, literally changed the game on how it's played, and there is absolutely no one else that you can go and be like.
It's a must-have jersey.
Yeah.
When you're talking about the grades of all
down
time,
the line,
Steph Curry jersey, man, that thing is
it'll
never not be cool.
You will literally be able to have that jersey next to like the LeBrons
Jordan.
and those Jordans, and like you'll be able to have your closet full, and like your kid is not going to be able to be like, oh, I know them, but like kids are gonna forever now know who Steph Curry is because I mean he's gonna be a Hall of Famer. He's probably gonna win another title. Like I mean like at least one, if not more.
Magic and Curry, they both played two different types of games.
100%.
Of course, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Like Magic was more of like the pass first guy.
Yeah,
definitely.
Curry
will shoot it anywhere.
Yeah.
But he also gets his teammates involved. He's a sick ball handler. Like, there's nothing Steph Curry can't do. Magic was probably a little bit better of a defender, especially at his size at the point guard position. And I think that might be something to talk about if like those two played one-on-one, you know what I mean? But we're getting into the hypothetical.
Curry's a great story, too, though, because of his Nike deal. Like, he called him the wrong name in the...
No way.
You never knew this?
No.
Oh, this is sick.
They call him Steven?
Look this up. They had I think they called him Stefan, and they had a PowerPoint that, if I'm not mistaken, was for Kevin Durant. Like, and they basically took it and they gave it to him with like tons of like wrong information on it. All these different things.
That intern got so fired.
And in turn, that turned into the greatest loss of Nike's entire. Like, imagine Under Armour would not even be a thing because Under Armour now, in my opinion, it's still teetering. It's like barely.
It's Steph Curry and The Rock and like Bryce Harper.
But even in my opinion, dude. Steph Curry's do not sell like the one did. The Steph Curry one was one of the hardest shoes to keep on shelves back in the day.
Right.
Like I know this because I had to sell them and I had to have little kids come up to be like, "Do you have it?" Be like, "No, it came out yesterday."
That's another thing. Like Steph is everybody's LeBron.
He's
this generation's LeBron.
He's commercializing it now, but dude, it's crazy. You know, I mean. They really dropped the ball on that. Like, you always say, like, what if MJ didn't go there and went to Adidas?
Right.
Like, a lot of people can also say, what if Kobe never left Adidas? And then you could also say, what if Curry actually went to Nike? So you're 100%. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And then even further, right? Like, you look back at, like, he had no huge offers out of college. I think he was like a 1 or 2 star recruit high school, like something stupid. Goes to Davidson. Goes to Davidson and lights it up.
Yeah.
Falls to...
Sorry, this is a hard part for you.
I think where did he fall?
Sixth? Yeah, because the Knicks picked 7th and we drafted Jordan Hill.
It's okay. Are you not looking at the Mahomes thing with the Giants now? The Giants wanted to trade up for that Mahomes spot when he originally got drafted. And McAdoo said we should do it, and the administration said, no, we don't want him. And look at him now.
Yeah, but still, McAdoo is the ultimate ass.
Yeah, but look at McAdoo.
That guy was an ass.
Yeah, no, you're right. But McAdoo's job would have in turn been saved because Eli would have had one bad game. They would have put Pat Mahomes, and he would have been like...
Right.
And like, you know, like that would have been the story.
Yeah.
But
no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And then like you got to think about like where the Warriors are now compared to when Steph was even on the team, right? So it was Steph Curry and Monte Ellis. That's who they're trying to build their team around. They traded Monte Ellis instead of Steph Curry because Steph had ankle problems earlier in his year. He couldn't stay on the court, and he wasn't even close to. It wasn't even close. It wasn't close to what he is now. And so the Warriors traded Monte Ellis instead of Steph Curry, and a lot of people were pissed at that.
Oh, of course.
Like, could you imagine, like, now hearing that somebody was, like, pissed off that they didn't trade Steph Curry?
Exactly.
Right? So, like, Chris Mullin got his jersey retired by the Warriors a little bit after that, and they fucking, like, they booed.
Yeah.
They booed not trading Steph and trading Monte.
Yeah.
And... all of a sudden, like, the rest is history.
Surprise!
The rest is history. 2-time MVP, what, 2, 3 finals?
Freezing Cold
How many?
Takes.
3?
That's like, yeah. That's like the greatest Instagram account. You follow Freezing Cold Takes. That I love getting those.
Right.
Like, you'll just like, and that would be it. The Warriors are destined for losing because they trade Monte Ellis and keep Steph Curry or whatever.
And it is what it is now. Everybody on the Warriors is injured, but you're getting Steph back and Clay back, and they're both 30 years old.
And they have 60, or no.
And they have the number 1 pick.
How many games?
Oh,
they didn't make the playoffs.
No, they didn't make the playoffs.
I forgot the NBA.
They have the best odds of the number 1 pick.
Which is disgusting.
So you just throw in whoever with Steph and Clay and Draymond and Steve Kerr.
Ooh, so bad. Like, what a bad situation for them.
Yeah, really. So there's my 5.
Yeah.
And that's who I roll with
Dude.
if I wanted to win a game.
Well, man, I'll tell you right now, that was one electric time. I'm glad that we could all kind of talk about it. Again, I'm not the biggest basketball guy, but, I'll talk.
For sure.
Just a period. I'll just talk about it. I can talk to this wall for 5 hours, so it doesn't matter to me. But
I will say, not knowing much about basketball or anything, it was a very, very interesting conversation that we were all going back and forth. I enjoyed it a lot.
I'm surprised we even got off the first topic, which was before the last dance.
Right.
We were just like this, and I'm like,
yep.
I want to reel it in, but I'm like, this is so sick. We got to just let it keep rocking.
We were flowing. That was nice.
Mm-hmm. We had to do something with sports since.
Exactly.
Sports, right?
Yeah. You're welcome.
Exactly.
I have one question. You guys don't have to get into it at all, but so Jordan didn't like Nike. He was about to go to Adidas. So I guess there was some drama between all that.
He wore Converse were the sneaker always growing up, right? Like Converse, like the canvas ones, like Chuck Taylor.
Old school Chuck Taylor.
Those were a basketball sneaker. That's what people wore in the NBA forever.
The Weapon was the first big shoe, and it was Larry and Magic's shoe. They got given these, and their color. They didn't have their own shoe. They had the Weapon, and it was in different colors given to all of these different players.
Right. So I think he wore Converse at UNC.
Yes, yeah. He wore Converse back in the day because that was like the thing, and it was just you wore the Chuck Taylor. That was like the shoe, and then they had a couple variations.
Right.
Yeah, the old schools.
And then I think he wore Adidas with Team USA and really liked it.
So the story basically goes that Adidas was just a bigger name. Nike basically started as Blue Ribbon Sports, and again, I don't want to go into the whole thing because I'll be here for 10 hours.
Right.
But Blue Ribbon Sports was like a company Bill Bowerman and Phil Knight started out of the University of Oregon. They basically, blah, 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 made it into this big company, and the biggest problem with the NBA back then was they didn't believe in giving a player a big contract. So they gave Magic, Larry, blah, blah, and blah, all the same amount. Let's just say $1 million. This is your sneaker deal.
Right.
Sure.
And they said we can diversify our portfolio so we're smarter. We have more people. We're going to sell more. Mm-hmm. And I forgot who it was. There was one person that contacted one of the UNC coaches and said, like, what's the deal with this kid? And he said, listen, I'll tell you right now.
I could see his face,
too. He literally said, too, he's like, I think he asked, he's like, should we sign all of these guys? And he said, no, you should just sign Michael. And he said, really? Yeah. So someone brought it to them and said, listen, we're going to throw all our money in the ring. And the only reason MJ went to Nike is because of his parents. He still wanted to leave the meeting and go to Adidas and just try to get a counter of what it was.
Mom.
But Nike just offered him so much, and in my opinion, he probably got royalties that are to this day like disgusting back then. I mean, now he has the Jordan brand and whatever, but the royalties in the 90s, he was probably making, I don't even know how much off of these shoes that, I mean, eventually some of them went on retail racks and sale racks for disgusting money, but then the resurge happened when he started to, bounce off again. But that's one of those, like, that's like the biggest what if. That episode where it started off with the sneaker history and Tinker Hatfield and all that stuff is, again, my favorite because of,
I think I need to watch that.
Definitely. There's a good just sneaker documentary. I just recently watched it. It was on HBO. I have it recorded. I'll text it both of you.
Is it Just for Kicks or?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. That's where I learned that Clyde, I knew, but Clyde had his own shoe before anybody else.
There's if it's Just for Kicks or whatever it is, that's the one where it starts from like the beginning, right? And it works its way up, and it talks about every era of like how Puma dominated with the Clyde. The Clyde was the greatest thing. Yeah. Then the superstars with the laces and evolved. Like sneaker culture with basketball, it's there. It's hand in hand.
Still so early.
Oh my God.
They're only like 50 years in the game.
Which is disgusting. Like
It's crazy how much basketball has just changed America.
Yeah, dude, and again, it's one of like the least popular sports.
Yeah,
which is
no, definitely not.
Well,
definitely, it's a global game.
No. I'm not saying it
all over the planet.
I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it as in like whatever. I'm saying when you think of mainstream sports, it's football one, right?
Here at least,
and
like
in the U.S.
I'm not talking about all. Yeah, I'm not talking about all over. I'm talking about more like United States.
Right.
The 2 is baseball, and then 3 is probably basketball.
I would even say it's
or
changing.
soccer.
Not soccer here though.
Soccer is
not in the
working its
USA.
way up, but it's not like, in my opinion, hockey's there. Hockey's constantly trying to work its way up because I think it's getting more like notoriety.
Right.
But like basketball is that 3 and it teeters, and it just whatever. I just think it doesn't get as much like as it should,
Basketball though is taking over the world. Like basketball,
of course,
it's if you look globally, it's like soccer.
Yeah, probably
maybe cricket, darts.
Yeah.
But basketball is second.
No, yeah.
Basketball is second behind soccer.
100%
around the globe.
But it's because of look at those sports, and it's not because they're not difficult sports to play, but it's because of the simplicity of it.
Sure.
And the culture and how cool you feel being good at basketball.
I think soccer is the most.
Well, that's just because it's the oldest.
Well, it's just the sexiest in what you hear about.
Sure.
I mean, you're talking about Messi playing with a can and Ronaldo playing with like a ball of yarn, and like now this man is like the highest gaining athlete in like all of the you know what I'm saying? Like so like just the stories of it where basketball is similar of these guys, like I mean, they had a bucket and there was a guy that, like MJ, think about what he did, think about what Kobe didn't have a bad upbringing, but Kobe worked harder than everyone else in this, and so I think basketball's got a lot to it that makes it a very great sport, but I just think it doesn't get as much credit. And on top of that,
I agree with you 100%, but it's also like 5 players on a court, not tough to keep track of.
Of course,
and you're not wearing a helmet or a hat, so you can see their face.
Yep.
So the marketability of NBA players is so much easier than any other sport.
Exactly. No, definitely. But
one. Not really related with sports or whatever. So you love Space Jam, right?
Yes.
What are your thoughts on the Space Jam 2 coming out?
Mad about it.
Turn the cameras off.
Are you mad about it?
Turn the cameras off.
Really?
It's just another. Honestly, like the way that it comes across, right? Yeah, it's LeBron. It's just more of LeBron chasing Jordan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's just how it comes across to me, at least. Like there was like a joke, like a meme type deal. Like LeBron will never be the GOAT until he saves like the entire universe from a race of aliens trying to steal it. You know what I mean? And like now he's doing it. You know? And like Space Jam wasn't even that good.
No, it's not a good movie, but like it's just
Jordan and the Looney Tunes. You know what I mean?
Well, Bill Murray was amazing.
But that's one of the greatest, and Larry Bird.
No,
that's my favorite.
That's
my favorite. When Bill Murray's on the golf course, he's like, "Is it because I'm white?" And he's like, "Well, Larry's white. He played just fine." He's like, "No, Larry is clear." I love that.
I 100% agree though. It's unfortunate because it is such a clout chasing movie now. Where
absolutely.
Like LeBron, and you know what? Look at those movies that the guys tried to make. What KD tried to make?
Oh my God!
Thunderstruck.
Oh my Lord! Talk about one of the all-time bad basketball movies.
Shaq.
Thunderstruck. Guys, we could film a better movie down here right now.
Definitely.
Thunderstruck. I swear to God. TJ can like dunk on me on the support beam right here, and we could figure out a better plot than Thunderstruck. Holy cow! That movie was terrible.
That dog.
Air Bud.
Air Bud, yo.
I thought you were going to say Beethoven.
Air Bud was great. Air Bud was great. How about Air Bud wide receiver or golden receiver?
Let's not forget, Snow Dogs won 2 Oscars. Okay.
You're right.
So I mean,
and even Like Mike wasn't bad.
I liked Like Mike. I think
it was a great idea.
But again, Like Mike is probably one of those movies, just like Space Jam, where we go back now and we're like, It was Jonathan Lipnicki was in it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and the guy who loses his arm in Hot Tub Time Machine. He plays the antagonist. That movie's great though. They had a bunch of good cameos. You know what I mean? Like even like Dirk was in that movie. Yeah. It's your boy. He was like, "Yeah, can you sign this autograph for my niece?" "Yeah, sure, Dirk. What's her name?" Dirk. That's classic. That's classic.
No, dude, and like now looking back at it, we should have done top 5 sports movies. Like, you know, that would have been a great opportunity.
Episode 36.
We did do that one, but
was that like episode 5? It was back in the day.
I don't remember which one it was.
But
I think we need to revisit it.
We could definitely revisit it. You don't got to tell me twice.
Yeah.
We made we made a Game of Thrones football league.
Yeah.
We did a draft with Game of Thrones players. We made our offensive linemen, wide receivers, defense, everything.
That's
and then a superhero baseball.
Mario Baseball. Yeah, we
Yeah.
did Mario Baseball.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
That was cool.
What's the name of the movie I'm thinking of with the guy from Anchorman where he's a football coach? And it's like a scary movie type deal. It's not the longest. It's not the long shots.
Oh, it's
You know
where
what I'm
what's his
talking
name?
about, right?
ACL tears the guy.
Yeah. Damn, it's all right. If you don't remember.
Gridiron?
No, not Gridiron Gang.
It's
oh my lord, I'm gonna lose my mind.
It's
Don't
literally
even
like
worry about
Jackie
it.
Moon. Like it's one of those movies.
It's
but,
terrible. It's
all right,
terrible.
well, we'll wrap it. I think we got it all. I don't know if you guys want any closing comments. Thank you guys again for coming.
Yeah, appreciate you, Frank. Thanks for hosting. Appreciate it. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah,
Had a good time. Yeah.
Alrighty, well, we'll see you guys next week or whatever comes, and thanks again, guys.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Peace.
Hey, also make sure to like, subscribe, and share, and follow us on Instagram at Podcast with Frank.
See,
and we will see you next.
I didn't have Joe to do that this time, so he
Yeah,
can't
that's
find me,
right.
so
I
that's
should
my
have.
point.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Dude, good shit, guys.
All right.
We're gonna try these babies right
All right. All right. Let's go.
Frank's not a fan of this.
Definitely salmon, but no shot for me. No shot for me. I definitely can't, unless it's like rolled up. Yeah, cooked salmon, my favorite fish of all time. I'll eat that anytime. All right, yeah, that was not me. And I'm not even gonna have another one. I give that like a. See, I would never even get that again. So I have to give it like a 3, and I think that's even being like generous. Like a 3.